Welcome to All Hallows Kino. I hope that you're having a great October. I certainly am. Watching horror movies, just getting into the Halloween spirit. I'm so fucking excited for Halloween. I'm so excited. And today, because it's the 40th anniversary of Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984, I thought I'd talk to you about A Nightmare on Elm Street 2010. So I'm a huge fan of the original Nightmare on Elm Street. It's always tied with Alien for my favorite horror movie of all time. It's the first horror movie I ever watched. Freddy Krueger is the first horror villain that I ever became obsessed with, and I still am to this day. I've got my Freddy Krueger hat on. It's a very different hat, but it's similar enough. I've got my Freddy vs. Jason t-shirt on. I love the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise for all its faults. But man, this movie. Wow. Yeah, like, I'm gonna get into it. To be honest, this movie is not the worst thing ever. There's worse movies. There's worse. There, I actually can't tell if there's worse movies in the same franchise, to be honest. It was an interesting one to go back and look at, because I didn't hate it as a teenager, but I still don't like it. So you're getting a rare negative video from me, for the Halloween season, just to give you a bit of a. I keep thinking of Christmas things to say. I thought I was going to tell you, you know what, fuck it, it's a stocking stuffer. It's a Halloween stocking stuffer for you guys. A negative review about a boring ass movie. But let's get into some good stuff first. Let's get into some positive stuff. I don't hate how it looks. It's shot reasonably well. There's some interesting visuals. The lighting is like awesome. Like, the lighting is better than it should be for this kind of film. There's a lot of uses of yellows and blues, and it's really cool. It's nowhere near the 1984 classic, but it's good. It's not bad. So yeah, it's shot okay. Rooney Mara and Katie Cassidy are acting fucking circles around everybody. I'm not too familiar with Rooney Mara. I know she's in like Girl with a Dragon, Girl Who Has a Dragon. The Girl Got a Tattoo. That's one of the few Fincher movies I haven't seen yet, but it's on my list. And Katie Cassidy, of course, is in Arrow, which I love. I will talk about Arrow again someday. That kind of fell off the rails. I promised that I'd talk about Arrow more. But they're both fucking incredible. Like, pure, real standouts. The actor playing Quentin fucking sucks, though. And it's weird, because I like him in other things. I think he's in Jennifer's Body, and he's really good in that. But God, is he sleepwalking in this. Sleepwalking. And of course, Clancy Brown. He's Clancy Brown. It's Mr. Krabs. Like, he's good in everything. He's good in anything that he's ever done, ever in life. All of it. Clancy Brown is the best. I feel like Jackie Earle Haley could have been a fucking fantastic Freddy, because he is good in this. The makeup really lets him down. Although I like how they modernized Nancy. It's basically the same Nancy, but they're after updating her for a 2010 audience, and yeah, like, it's really cool. They made her like this weird alt girl who like sits in her room and draws all the time. It's like my dream girl from 5 years ago, and a little bit still. But Nancy's like, she's awesome. Like, Rooney Mara's great. And yeah, I really do like what they did with her character in terms of like her personality and stuff. Like, this is what this type of character would be like nowadays. Another just idea that I like is the micro sleeping thing. Like, that's pretty cool. The idea that you kind of sleep for like a few seconds at a time while you're awake and you don't even realize you're doing it. And that's kind of how Freddy starts not interacting with the real world, but he starts showing up to you while you're awake. It's new, it's fresh, it's hip, it's now. It's something that isn't just in the original film, but worse. And I really like the line that Freddy says. It's, again, like one of the few Freddy lines that isn't just from the original, but worse. Where he says, like, why are you screaming? I haven't even cut you yet. Like, that is a Freddy fucking line. That is such a Freddy line. I love it. So yeah, I mentioned this. The actor playing Quentin is fucking terrible. His line delivery is terrible. He looks bored, which I guess I can't blame him for, because it's a boring movie that he's in. But yeah, he's just unlikable. And it's weird because, again, this actor is not the worst. Like, he's a decent actor in other things, but yeah, he's just, I don't know what happened. Okay, this is the big point in this movie. the characterization of Freddy Krueger. I'm not talking about Jackie Earle Haley or anything like that. Like, he did an amazing job of what he was given. But what he was given was baffling how ridiculous it was. In the original film, Freddy. Yes, I'm going to do a lot of comparisons. It's only fair. It's a remake. In the original film, Freddy was a child serial killer. Like, they call him the filthy child murderer. But he's got this twisted sense of humor about it where it's the same like approach that I feel with the Joker or Patrick Bateman, where they're funny, but you feel bad for laughing because it's so dark, the things that they're making jokes about. And that's perfect for that original film. And in the original, they hint that he might, like kids a little bit too much, Dan Schneider style. There's like a hint that he likes kids a little too much. But it's just like hints. It's something that, you can have a discussion about it. You can, people with conflicting opinions can be like, yeah, I think he did it, or yeah, no, I don't think he did, or maybe he just had thoughts about it because he was murdering them and all that kind of thing. It's a very interesting angle to take, giving just the very, very subtle hints. Like, it's so subtle that you could watch the movie and not even notice, really. And I did. I watched the movie and I didn't notice, and then I watched it again and again and again and again, and I eventually noticed. In this film, though, they make it incredibly explicit that he is a word that I don't think I can say on YouTube. You know the word. It's so explicit in this film that he is a child assaulter, an assaulter of children, assaulter of children. I'm gonna go with that. That's the word that I think I can safely say. It's made very explicit that he assaults children in this film, and there's so many problems with it. For one thing, especially by now, Freddy he's like the Joker, he's a character that we like. It's a character that we like to watch. It's fun to see him run around, make, dark jokes and all that kind of thing. It's, exactly what a horror movie villain, it's exactly what a horror movie villain should be. It's like, he's like the Joker. He's like a more horror version of the Joker, where he's making jokes and he's cracking wise. And again, it makes us laugh, but it's that nervous laugh. It's that kind of, like, it's not, this is a very dark subject, but yeah, it's funny. That kind of a thing. In this, it's just mean and mean-spirited. And he's making such explicit references to the fact that he's definitely this type of person. And it's disgusting. Like, they went so far with making him this disgusting monster that it's not fun anymore. Watching horror movies should be fun. It shouldn't make me feel bad and gross. And that's what this film did. When you're sitting down on like a gloomy day and you want to, just stick on a horror movie for fun, you don't want to put this type of film on. And I have nothing against films that tackle these issues. There's films that I love that tackle issues very similar to this. Like the Andrea Arnold? No, that's a different person. Something Arnold. There's a film called Fish Tank. And I don't love that movie, but it tackles this subject with like precision levels of just sensitivity and realness, and it's absolutely fantastic. Michael Fassbender's in it. If you want to hate Michael Fassbender, go watch this. I don't hate the man, but yeah, in this he's like a bad guy. But you can't explore this issue properly in a Freddy movie. That's why it was only hinted at in the original and basically omitted entirely when Freddy became a cartoon character. It's so weird that they did this. I can't stop talking about it. And look, outside of the way Freddy is handled in this way, because, obviously you have a lot of these kids confronting this idea, it's handled with it's handled with so little sensitivity. They're just screaming theories and opinions about whether or not it was actually done to them, and they're just getting so angry and worked up all the time. They're not really working through this. And then at the end, when Nancy's fighting him, it's like a badass fight sequence, which I can kind of understand. It's like, yeah, she's overcoming her abuser and stuff like that. But it's not handled sensitively enough, I think. And this film just isn't smart enough. Like, you can't explore this topic in a Nightmare on Elm Street remake that's 90 minutes long and not even written that well outside of handling this issue. It's very strange. Like, don't get me wrong, these things should be brought up more in media because people consume media all the time. And it's a great way to explore this stuff and listen to victims of this kind of abuse. Um, Recently, I watched the Quiet on Set documentary. Really handles it well, this subject matter. I would recommend it to anybody who wants to feel enlightened about this type of thing. It should not be done in a Nightmare on Elm Street remake from 2010. Yeah, it's... I'm gonna like veer away from this now because it's just getting upsetting. Now getting into more fun problems that I have with this movie. The pacing is all over the shop. Like, it's bad. Scenes basically exist, like dialogue scenes exist to bridge bad jump scares. Like, scenes are written to get to jump scares. There's no scene that feels like written from a character perspective. There's no scene that's written that makes me feel like I'm following this human being and I care about this person. The good Nightmare on Elm Street movies have this realness to the characters. You feel what they're feeling. You feel what they're going through. When Nancy feels tired, you feel tired. When she's desperate, you feel desperate with her because you've been following her. In this, I don't feel any of that with these characters. Because it's just getting to the next scare. It's almost like the characters want to get to the next scare so that your mind is still going with them, that you're still being entertained. It's almost like it doesn't trust you to not be entertained by the characters. The scares are also so over the top and not in a good way, like in the edgy way. And I like Edge. I hear a lot of people complain about Edge. I like Edge. I think Edge is hilarious. Like, it's so fun. And I could be quite an edgy person, but it's weird. It's not good Edge in this. Like, it's just mean spirited kind of Edge. It doesn't, like, the movie doesn't think that you're going to be scared enough by this, so it needs to be a loud noise and Freddy says something absolutely disgusting and you see something like, you know, horrible happen and it's so like gruesome and over the top. It's like remember, okay, here's a good comparison. In the original, Tina is in the body bag, the clear body bag, and she's like Nancy, and you know she touches the bag and it's like reaching out, and it's then you know she gets picked up and dragged away. It's horrifying. I just got chills talking about it and thinking about it. Like, it's ugh. But then in the Katie Cassidy version of Tina, I can't remember what I think it's Chris. She's in the body bag and she just screams her fucking head off. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It doesn't think that it's scary enough, so it has to go over the top to make you as scared, trying to make you as scared as possible. But none of it's scary. It's just annoying. Like, I'm annoyed by this movie. I have a note about Freddy Krueger, but I kind of touched on this already. He's meant to be more like the Joker, or a Patrick Bateman, where he makes really dark jokes that make you feel bad for laughing. Like, here, let me think some examples. Like, you know, when he self-mutilates. Self-mutilation is not a funny topic at all. It's, like, very serious and very unfortunate that it happens. But when Freddy does it, it's so funny. It's so funny when he does it, because it's just like he's, you know, he knows that he's doing this kind of parody thing. Or just the different, like, wisecracks that he makes. Like, right before he kills the guy in the waterbed in part 4. His name escapes me. And he says, "How's this for a wet dream?" and then pulls him into the waterbed. And, like, you know, there's the one that's like, "Oh, you big break on TV. Welcome to the prime time, bitch." Like, so many great jokes. And, like, you know, jokes about, like, Jesse from part 2. And it gets a bit mean-spirited in Dream Child, which is why I don't like watching that one as much. But this is the kind of thing that Freddy Krueger does. And it's just so mean-spirited in a 2010 movie that it's not funny, and it's just upsetting. And if you want a great example of dark humor, the best example of dark humor I've ever seen is American Psycho. The first, like, 3 or 4 times I watched American Psycho, I did not get it at all. But I watched it last year, you know, for the, like, 4th or 5th time. And it's so funny. It's a very, very funny movie. So maybe give American Psycho another watch if you kind of disagree with me. Give it another watch and see for yourself. I know it's not everybody's thing. Like, not everybody's gonna laugh about it. Because, I like dark humor. Not a lot of people like it. Like, I know people who don't really like dark humor. They don't like jokes being made about that. That's very fair. But if you want an exercise in dark humor, American Psycho is the way to go. One day I'll talk about that movie at length. I guess I better talk about the makeup because that's a very important thing for Freddy fans, including myself. No, part 2 makeup is easily the best, but to each their own. This makeup is not good. They use they use bits of green screen and mostly makeup, but I think the problem is they went so hard for the realism aspect that it ruins it. Like, Jackie Earle Haley cannot emote in it. He can barely crack a smile in this makeup. It's so heavy. He's completely lost in it. Like, Robert Englund, the thing that makes Freddy so different from the other horror villains is that he has, like, full mobility in his face. He doesn't wear a mask. And he's able to crack jokes. He's not like the silent killer like Michael or Jason. He's a joker. Like, he smiles and quips, and Englund does that so well in the makeup, and it's because the makeup is not, well, it's complicated. Like, it's a complex appliance, but he's still able to emote in it. You still get Englund's facial expressions through it, but with Jackie Earle Haley, you don't. He can barely move his face, and so maybe that adds to why it's so mean-spirited, that you can't tell whether or not he's doing like a mean-spirited edgy joke or whether he's actually like laughing alongside us. This has been talked to death, but yeah, the wall trick being CGI instead of what it originally was, or just not doing it at all and doing something creative. Horrible. Why would you do it? It looks bad even for 2010, but 1984, it was proven that you can do it without that. You just get a latex wall and have someone press his face up against it. It's not that hard. Like, it's probably more costly and more time consuming to do it with CGI. And yeah, they did it anyway. Tina's death, or whatever I think it's Chris. Katie Cassidy's death in this is so lame, it's actually insulting. Like, everybody remember, it's one of the best kills in the entire franchise. Tina's death, where she gets dragged up the wall, and Rod is like, he's just so confused and just screaming, and we don't know what's happening. The rotating room effect is expertly done. Nobody knows it until I mention it too. Not that I'm not like the did you know Viggo Mortensen broke his toe type of guy. But that's one of the few things, like, I could talk over the whole movie and talk about like the different stuff in it, but that's one that I always bring up when someone's never seen the movie. I'm like, by the way, this is how this was done. And then they look and they go, oh my god, yeah. It's so obvious when you know how it's done. And it's an incredible effect. And what do they do in this movie? She's raised off the bed, slashed once, and then falls back down on the bed. I get that you couldn't come up with anything better, because this is literally the best thing that was ever done ever in a movie. Really? This lame? You couldn't have even thought of a different cool thing to do. You just had to do a worse version of this. Okay. I don't like how the dream sequences are structured in this. It's made very clear very quickly that they're in a dream, which is not necessarily the point of the original either. And again, I'm comparing it a lot to the original, but I do feel like it's fair considering it's a remake. In the remake, like, something big and bombastic happens to let you know that you're in a dream. Most of the time in the original, you don't know that they're in a dream until Freddy shows up. Like, in the first time he shows up in after the prologue, Tina wakes up, sees someone throwing rocks at the window. She goes outside. She walks around. Freddy shows up, and then you know she's in a dream. In fact, you could almost say that you don't know she's in a dream until she starts thrashing around on the bed. It's like the genius of the film, because at this point you don't know who Freddy is. You don't know that he's like the dream killer. And in the school scene, like, you hear your man talking gibberish, but it's only kind of when Nancy goes outside and sees the body bag, that's when you know for definite she's in a dream, and then it ramps up from there. But in the remake, it's just like bam, dream, bam, dream, and it's lame. Finally, and I can't believe this one. How do you make the same mistake with the ending? Everybody hated it. Like, the one thing that people don't like about Nightmare on Elm Street, like, even like the biggest fans of the movie, like me, or like, you know, Cosplay Chris, who's an amazing Freddy fan, and he got me into the character. So, if by any chance you're watching this, Cosplay Chris, thank you for giving me this obsession. But it's the one thing that everybody hates about this movie is the ending. Like, it's the one thing that no Freddy fan can defend about this movie. I think this movie's 10 out of 10, but yeah, the ending should have been what Wes Craven wanted it to be originally, where Nancy steps outside the door, walks away, and that's it. But no, they have to do a thing of like, sequel setup to Freddy's, he's here, he's back. And there's a horrible puppet because they didn't have any time to do this. And they do it again in the remake, where Freddy's defeated, they go home, and then he kills the mom at the end in a terrible effect. That looks bad. How? How do you do this? It baffles me. It genuinely baffles me. Yeah, I don't know what to say, to be honest. It's the one thing that everybody hates it. Even Wes Craven hates it. And they did it again. They did it anyway. This movie. I'm never going to talk about this movie again, guys. Unless it's in like a ranking video or something. But I'm never watching this again for this channel because it makes my blood boil, like. Yeah, in case you didn't know, I didn't like this movie. It's not good. It's like, I gave it like a 2 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Either way, I hope you had fun with this video. I had fun recording it. Happy Halloween to you guys. I hope you're having a great October. I am going to watch the other better Nightmare on Elm Street movies in October. I'm done with this film. I just thought this would be a fun thing to give you, because I'm not ready to talk Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, yet. Because I'm just not ready. That needs to be a kick-ass video. So I thought I'd have a bit of fun and do the remake, you know, for the 40th anniversary of the original. So yeah, and I guess this is the 14th anniversary of that film, so good on you, Nightmare on Elm Street remake. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really do. I really do. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Comment below, what do you think of the Nightmare on Elm Street remake? Or tell me your favorite Elm Street movie. I'd love to know. I think Freddy fans are really great. Like, horror fans are great in general. Every fandom has its stinker, but I think Freddy fans are really good because, you know, we all have different takes. We all have different opinions. A lot of Freddy fans, the first one isn't even their favorite. Or, you know, if it is, it's like the ones after that are the more interesting. So I'd really like to know what you think of the Freddy films. You know, give me a ranking. Tell me your favorite. Tell me your least favorite. It has to be this one, right? And subscribe to the channel for more October content throughout the entire month. Have a great day.